What is it that you're looking for? You don't have to straight up ask, why are you open to new opportunities? Why did you take my call? You can kind of like talk around it a little bit. So a couple of ways to ask for that is, I want to make sure like this is the right next step for you. Like, what do you really love about your job currently? What are the things that you really love? Or like, what are your deal breakers? Where are you going to say, absolutely not. If this job has this, this, or this, I'm not doing it.
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenley, and welcome back to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change and instead teaches you how to make that change. Today, we have a great Tactical Tuesday episode ahead of us, but before we get into that, I just want to tell you a little bit about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show here. Some days we have interviews with industry thought leaders and others who are shaking up the space, while other days we cover things like trending topics. Stop by every Tuesday, like today, for a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. Some days we open up for Q&A, and occasionally you get a mic drop episode from Matt where he shares something he's been thinking about within the recruitment space and wants you to know. Now, as a reminder, if you like the content that we share here on the show, make sure that you subscribe for more. So, are you looking for a new job? Oh, well, I'm just keeping my options open. All right, how many times have you had that scenario play out when you've been engaging candidates early on in a search? We all know the reality is that something usually is missing from their current job that has them open to taking that chat with you in the first place, but what is that real reason? How do we find out? How do we get them to open up to us and share that real reason, or in some cases, reasons, plural? So lucky for you, we have your favorite Tactical Tuesday co-host, Vivien, here to unpack this one. Vivien, welcome.
Hello. Ready to dive in?
Oh yeah. Yes. Tell me, what's the secret code to just getting people to open up?
Ask them differently.
That's way too hard. You're gonna need to simplify that for me.
All right. So like, people don't want to talk to recruiters. The only time that they really talk to recruiters is because they're actually considering making some kind of change. They're not considering making a change because life's boring, and even then it means they're bored at work, which is one of the claims. Those are the 6 motivators that people have to make a change and see. First one, challenge or lack thereof, is one of the motivators. Maybe sometimes it's too challenging and they actually want something that's a little bit more mellow, chill out a little bit, which is totally fine. But you just have to find the right person for the job, and that way it's a good match and they're actually going to stay long term. All this to say, backing up a little bit, you have to build trust. If you're not building trust, they're not going to tell you anything. And so we're going to walk you through how to build the trust and then how to ask it differently and kind of like read in between the lines to get there. So
yeah, I love it. Trust, framing. Okay. You've got my curiosity. So, all right, let's do it. I don't know if you want to make me be an example. I don't know if you want to just go through pretending we've got a fake candidate here, but yeah, like, how are you? You've got a candidate on, is it a call? Is it over email? Like, how are you starting this?
So when you get to this part, typically you've already had a conversation via email, and now it's time to get on a call for the recruiter to then figure out, does this person actually have all the right experiences that they need for this job? Are they a cultural fit? What is the candidate looking for to determine, is this actually a good match? Because recruiters in reality are professional matchmakers, not dating type of matchmakers, but work type of matchmakers. Very similar thing, but slightly different. So you just want to make sure you want to actually have a conversation, because it's one thing to see a resume and to see a job description and to kind of like see the overlap and it looks like it's a good fit, but you still have to have a conversation because you know the hiring manager, you know the hiring team, you know the company, you know what they're like, what they're looking for, specific skills. And as a recruiter, you also have to vet, do they actually know what they're talking about, or are these just buzzwords that they added on their resume? And so when you jump on that call, you have to build a relationship, you have to build trust. The easiest way to do that is with a, how are you doing? And how you answer that. So typically it's like, hey, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. So let's dive into this. Make it a little bit more human. So one example, a recent example is, I have a kitten and he actually lost one of his baby teeth. So when I get on calls with customers and we do the, hey, how are you? Good. How are you? I say, I'm good. One of my kitten actually lost a tooth and I found it. And they're like, wait, hold on. They lose teeth? And you can bond a little bit. You can make it a little bit more human. It can be something that is trivial, but don't just say, good, how are you? Or more recently, Night Agent season 2 came out on Netflix. Excellent. So I've been binge watching that. So I just mentioned that. And suddenly there's a quick and short conversation about what are some good TV shows that you've been watching. Like, you know, you just want to build that little like connection and offer a little bit of yourself. And it doesn't have to be deep, like, I just was broken up with by the love of my life. It doesn't have to be this dramatic. It can be something as trivial. You just have to offer something to make yourself more human, to make that connection, to offer something beyond I'm good, which is very superficial and not vulnerable, because you're about to ask the candidate, why are you looking for something new? Which is a vulnerable question, especially if they give you a legit answer. Like if it is, I'm really unhappy at my role. I feel like I'm getting bullied. It's a really toxic workplace. People are not just going to tell you this outright if they don't trust you. So you have to build
Or if
trust.
they'd even know you, yeah. And they don't even know you. You're someone that, just showed up. So that's so, I love the simplicity and just looking at human psychology. Like, what do you need to do that? And taking a scenario that you know is always going to play out. How are you? Kicking off the call, like, just don't default to the weather. Everyone does that. Just find another way to do something. And this is a perfect spot for that.
Unless this is the first time that the state has seen snow in like 80 years. That's different.
Yeah, true. Okay. All right. So you have opened up a little bit. You've gotten them to trust you. What's next?
So next up is the way that you're actually structuring that particular call. A lot of times recruiters will kind of make it a little bit of like an interrogation. Don't do that. People just kind of like rattle off like, this is what they're looking for. Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have this? Do you have that? Make it a little bit of like a dialogue where you kind of say, hey, so for example, if we take the RevOps opportunity we have at Loxo, we can say we're a really fast growing company. And so we're actually looking for a RevOps person. And these are the kind of things that we're going to be looking for. So one of the things that we're working on is we want different systems to talk to each other. We want the data to flow. What kind of experience do you have with that? And just kind of give them a little bit of context about what it is so that you can help them paint a picture in their mind about the job so that they can actually visualize what that position would be like and make a better and like more accurate kind of decision on whether they actually see themselves there or not. Because if you're not painting them a picture, you have to sell them on it. And you can't just do it of like, they're going to pay you a lot of money, it's going to be great. No, like you have to actually like connect with them on an emotional level. And the way to do that is to start helping them visualize and make that like emotional connection and just kind of like going through that and explaining why they're looking for that by providing the context for it. You know, because like right now it's like, okay, well, like the two systems, they're really helpful. They have great data, but we would love for them to actually talk to each other and then have you run the analysis on it so we can get better insights for it. What kind of experience do you have with that? You're like, actually, I integrated systems A and B, and this is the type of data that I got. This is how I did it. You're not spilling secrets as a candidate when you're doing that, but you're kind of getting them to engage and picture themselves in that particular role to then figure out, do I actually want to be in that role? And you have to do that. Otherwise, they're going to bounce and ghost you. And we talked about this. We don't like that. We don't want them to do that.
Yeah. And even how you were giving your example answer there, you were enthusiastic about it. That's something that you can also pick up on very quickly is, do they light up or do they kind of, I don't know, recoil a little bit when you bring up certain topics? And that's going to tell you, no matter what they say, if you haven't gotten their full trust yet, like looking at body signals, if you can do this over Zoom, that's better. But you can quickly see like, okay, are they just in it for, again, money? Or are they in it because like they want a new challenge? They really enjoy this thing, which this opportunity seems to offer more of. Like you can read aside from what they're saying with their mouth to get those cues and understand like, oh, they're definitely, they light up about this.
Yeah. And it's even just, are they saying, yeah, I integrated HubSpot and Salesforce and I ran a bunch of analytics. I can tell you about them. Or are they saying, you know what, this project was actually really interesting. I connected HubSpot and Salesforce, and this is the kind of data that we had. And this is that kind of outcome that we had. It was really cool. You know, like you can tell what are they proud of, what lights them up. Because ultimately, when we get to the question of like, so why are you interested? Why did you take my call? You don't want to just hear, oh, you know, I'm keeping my options open. It's like an elusive cat, you know, that you're just trying to like grab and snuggle. But you want to get an actual answer because you want to figure out, is it just money? And in which case, the highest bidder will always find them, get them, and snatch them away from you. The goal as a recruiter is to find the right person so that they can actually be developed at that company. You want to help the candidate make the right next step in their career. You don't just want to like fill the rec, because then that relationship with the hiring manager and the company is not going to be good, all that kind of stuff. You have to think of it in terms of like a long-term kind of like game. And so you want to have that conversation with a candidate. Don't make it an interrogation type style. But then towards the end, when you actually get to what is it that you're looking for? You don't have to straight up ask, why are you open to new opportunities? Why did you take my call? You can kind of like talk around it a little bit. So a couple of ways to ask for that is, I want to make sure like this is the right next step for you. Like, what do you really love about your job currently? What are the things that you really love? Or what is it that you're like looking for in your next opportunity, like your must-haves, like top 3? Or like, what are your deal breakers? Where are you going to say, absolutely not. If this job has this, or this, I'm not doing it. It tells you a little bit about what's going on. And then if you have a couple of questions to follow up with that, it's like, tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean by this? And they can tell you why they're looking for a new opportunity without you actually straight up asking, what are you looking? Why are you looking? Why did you take my call? Like they took your call because you hit one of their claims. So yeah.
Yeah. It's being private investigator. Yeah. You're using deductive reasoning. You're using basic human psychological elements to just get them to trust you, open up and tell you enough where you kind of do a good job of walking them into these conversations where it's not this awkward, like you're just standing 2 inches in front of their face asking like, why are you open to this opportunity? It's like, well, like, what do you love about your current opportunity? Or like, what is it that you wish was different? Like those, as you said, they're slightly different ways of asking the question, but it gets an entirely different and usually more candid and open response from them.
Yeah. And you can get a little bit like creative with it. And you can ask, even if you had a magic wand that could fix the one thing that is like bothering you the most about your current job, what would it be? Sometimes even asking it like that is gonna like reveal something. And sometimes you just have to get a little bit of like a glimpse for it, just to get like a starting ground to figure out what is it that they're looking for. And then you can kind of like pitch them the job in that way and kind of say, you know what, actually, like this is a very collaborative team. If you're really more set on, I just want to do my own thing, I don't really want to deal with people, that's totally fine. But I don't think you're going to actually really enjoy this and thrive at this role. But I'll leave this up to you. You want to be like a friend that is actually giving like helpful advice that is in their best interest, because whatever is in the candidate's best interest is also in your best interest, especially when it comes to the retention period and whether you're going to have to find a replacement down the line because they quit too soon or not.
I love it. Well, Viv, enlightening. Things that we should all know, but we don't do. This has been a theme I've been noticing this year, whether it's in recruiting, marketing, general life advice, but there's so many foundational, fundamental things that we all know, but we just kind of like push aside, like, oh, it's too easy. That's too simple. I'm not going to do it. I want to do this different thing. I want to do a sexy thing that like we're drawn towards. But at the end of the day, there's so many things that if we want to just like do those level up, the improvements, it really is just coming back to fundamental things at the basis of everything. So, and this seems like one of those where it just hits the nail on the head with that.
Yeah, 1000%. It's the simple things that work, but that doesn't mean that they're easy.
Yeah. Amen. All right. Well, before we wrap this up, any other last minute thoughts, parting wisdom?
Be yourself. If you have some kind of experience that you can interject where they're like, oh yeah, I did this, and you have some past experience with that, give them something, like you are the one that is reaching out to them. It is up to you as a recruiter to build that trust and that foundation. And the way to do that is by leading. And the way that you lead is you have to offer something. You have to be the first one to be vulnerable. And again, it doesn't have to be all of like your past horrendous experiences and betrayals and heartbreaks in great detail. It can be as simple as, I've been really into Night Agent and I'm very excited to log off and get back into that one. Yeah. It can be as simple as that. And it's like, oh, wait, what's Night Agent? And you can have like a little chit chat and make that human connection, because ultimately you're connecting humans to other humans in just different settings. You are a matchmaker of sorts, and you want it to be good. And at the end of the day, that's what makes you feel accomplished, what makes you feel good, and that's what makes life fulfilling and your work as a recruiter fulfilling.
And as you keep saying matchmaker, it has me looking at the calendar. I think we're going to have to come up with a Valentine's Day episode special.
Yes.
Stay tuned. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Well, Viv, truly appreciate you joining. As always, dropping this wisdom with us helps level up recruiters everywhere. Hopefully you share this with your friends. So as we wrap, Becoming a Hiring Machine is a production of Loxo. If you love this episode, but you're not sure where to go next, we've got a link to a similar one. You can find those in the show notes in the description of your favorite podcast streaming platform, as well as on our website. Full video episodes are available on YouTube. And if you have questions, send them our way. podcast@loxo.co. And final request, if you did enjoy this episode, please make sure you leave us a quick rating in your podcast streaming platform. It takes you 3 seconds, but it's going to help other recruiters like you to find us. So, all right, everyone, that's the show. That was a great Tactical Tuesday with Vivien. Until next time, bye, y'all.